Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Vendor Voices podcast. This is your photographer, Sammi, and I am here with my wonderful co-host, videographer, Korrigan.
Hey, guys.
Hey, and today we're going to answer a question that we get a lot.
So much.
What happens to your wedding photos and videos after the big day?
It's done. Where do they go? Do they just
Yeah.
evaporate and then they get back to they return to the bride and groom, afterwards, and they're just
Right
like,
away, you know? Yeah.
The couple received their photos from the iCloud? I don't know.
Let's talk about it.
Let's get into it.
Okay. Yeah, many couples wonder about the process. I'm sure you, as a wedding videographer, have a lot of insight into the process of what happens afterwards. But also, you are planning your own wedding.
Yeah.
And so before we dive in, how about we do a little check-in? Let's talk about how wedding planning is going, and just give me an update. How's everything going?
Yeah, so our listeners know my lovely fiance Reagan from episode 1.
Shout out, Reagan.
If you haven't listened to episode 1, go listen to it now.
Yep.
Reagan's in the later half of that episode, and we are in the midst of wedding planning, as we've discussed. And this past week, Reagan actually picked out her wedding dress. So pretty
exciting.
pretty big part of the wedding process is now complete. She already has it. Like, she fully purchased. We're good to go.
Does she have to do any alterations?
She does.
Yeah.
I do know that she has to do alterations. I haven't seen it, obviously, as the groom.
Yeah.
I know it's like traditional that like the groom doesn't see the dress until the day of.
Does that make you nervous at all?
I'm nervous, and I'm not nervous. I'm more like excited. I do like surprises, but this is where my question comes for you, Sammi. I actually have a question about this, and I want to get your perspective.
Yeah.
Reagan and I communicate about literally everything. We don't have secrets from each other, obviously, and Reagan's literally showing everybody the pictures of her in her dress, and she wants to show me. Like, every day she's like, I want to show you, but I'm not supposed to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I like surprises, and I know I'm not supposed to see this, but if you want to show me this, I don't know what we should do. And I literally, we had a conversation earlier today. I was like, I'm going to see what Sammi thinks. And this might dictate if I see the dress beforehand. I don't know.
Interesting. Well, I mean, it comes down to a couple things for me. One, I mean, I understand the element of anticipation and surprise can be really fun for you.
Yeah.
To be able to see her on your wedding day for the first time. It's like that first look moment.
Exactly. And that's my thing is I don't want to ruin the first look.
Yeah.
But also I know seeing a photo of her in it, yes, it'll be emotional when I see the photo.
Yeah.
But also it's going to be way different when I see her physically in it on our wedding day at our first look.
Yeah, definitely.
It will be different.
It will be, because the emotions will be heightened, and there's just so much going on that day that's just so exciting, and the bliss of it all. But I mean, I don't know. If the tables were turned and I was in your position, I feel like it would be really intriguing to want to see the dress, of course. I mean, I'm sure she's going to look absolutely fabulous, beautiful, stunning, no matter what. I mean, so,
It's I don't know if there's a right answer here.
I don't know if there is.
It's very personal per couple.
Yeah.
And so she showed me photos of her in other dresses that she didn't pick, because she obviously tried on a few.
Yeah.
And it was amazing seeing her in those dresses, and I'm this looked beautiful. I know it's not the one you went with, so it's the fact that you're showing me this one and I think this is great, it's I don't even know what this other photo that she has on her phone looks like. So
yeah, totally.
very interesting.
It
We'll
is
see.
interesting. I mean, what are you leaning towards?
I'm kind of I just don't want Reagan to be holding this secret in, I feel like. So it's I honestly want to look at it one time. I don't want her to text me the photo and me have that photo of her in the dress. Obviously, I want her to just show me quickly.
Yeah.
And I can look at it for one time,
Okay.
a year before the wedding, and then I don't see it again.
Yeah.
That might be what we go with.
Okay.
So
well, you'll have to keep us updated and let us know what you do decide.
Yeah, because I don't know if she just really wants to show me. Otherwise, I'd be okay, let's wait. I'm more on the side of let's wait till the first look.
Sure.
And she's just come here, let me show you this photo. So I'm I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, and it's so fresh right now, so she's very excited.
Yeah.
She's showing her friends. I'm sure everybody's gassing her up. And
Yeah,
she's
we have people over,
what?
and she's showing them in the corner, and I have to go to the other side of the room. It's so dramatic, and I'm it's so funny.
Aww. I mean, that's really the only surprise that you would really have on your wedding day.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess.
Well, actually, that's not necessarily true. There might be some other surprises.
And stuff like that too,
exactly,
so it's
totally.
There will be something else, but it's also like, that is one of the bigger things is like seeing, but also it will still be my first time seeing her in the dress in person.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that's a big difference to me. So
what about a picture just of the dress, but her not in it? Maybe she could find the dress on like a model or on line or something.
That's a great thing. I feel like that could be a good middle ground.
Yeah.
I might pitch that to her. We haven't even discussed that at all. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, because I'm sure you can imagine and envision what she would look like in it.
Sure.
But it still leaves a little bit up to surprise.
Yeah, that's actually a really good middle ground. And then because I feel like she keeps just talking about the dress, and like I have to go and she's like talking about the little
details,
does it have like little details? I don't know any of this stuff, but
yeah.
Then at least she could show me like, oh, here's that detail I've been talking about.
Yeah.
So interesting. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
I think we just found the solution.
I think that might have.
I think that might be it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, you'll have to keep us updated. And also for you listeners, I would love for you guys to chime in if you are.
Yeah. What do they think about this? I don't know.
What do you think? Do you think that Korrigan should wait until the wedding day, or should Reagan show it to him? Because
I don't know, guys.
Sounds like she wants to.
She definitely wants to show me. And I'm on the fence. I'm like, either way, I'm okay with.
Yeah,
but
either way, she's going to look
think?
amazing. But
let's see.
Yeah,
let's leave it up to...
Leave it your answer in the comments. We would love to know.
Yeah, we'd love to know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got that out of the way. That's the update in my wedding planning journey. And let's get into today's topic.
Let's do it. So let's start with the first step, backing up. Immediately after the wedding, the first thing I do is back up all the photos to an external hard drive. I always shoot on 2 cards, so I'm shooting on a dual slot camera.
Yeah.
And I'm backing up both cards to an external hard drive, actually to 2 external hard drives, because
Smart.
You never know. You want to make sure that you do not lose any of those photos. And also to the cloud as well. And this helps protect against any potential data loss, technical issues. Things happen. We talked about it in last week's episode. Unfortunately, sometimes photographers, videographers run into issues with backing up their photos. They either,
only have one copy, something gets damaged. You never know. It's always good it's like a good vetting question with your photographer or videographer.
Absolutely.
Like, how do you back up your footage? Like, I just want to know, like, what's that process look like? Just make sure there's at least 2 copies of your footage. I'll say as the video person on the other side of the table here, I do the same kind of process. I feel like this is where we're kind of similar, photo and video. You just make sure you have multiple copies. I also keep all the footage on the SD card until it's fully delivered. Then I can use that SD card for other things.
Yep.
So really I have like 3 or 4 copies around the internet and hard drives and SD cards until the couples get their final, deliverable.
Yeah, you would think we were like OCD or something.
I mean, you kind of have to be.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, it's such an important day for, the bride and groom. The last thing we want to do is risk accidentally losing any of the files. So that is the first step.
Don't know what I would do if that happened.
Yeah, me neither.
So I'm making sure it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. We can do what we can do in our power to make sure. So anyway, first up is backing up. And then after everything's backed up, we move into the selection process.
Oh, yeah. Should I start with my selection process on the video side?
Yeah.
So for me, it looks like a lot of culling is the word, is where you go through all your footage and make selects of like key moments, highlights of the day, really good takes if you're doing like couples moments things, if there's like a cool dip or like a nice walking shot. I make selections of that because I'll go home and I have like anywhere ranging from like 3 to 5 hours of footage, and then I need to make that my selections and at least get that down to like, I try to get it to like 45 minutes of footage and just make like key moment selections.
Yeah.
So I know I have my key shots for when I'm building your film at my next step, then I know where to go to get all my key shots.
Yep. So that's the first step. For photographers, it's similar. It means, sifting through thousands of images to find the key moments from the day. I look for moments that tell a story, little glances, big laughs, somebody wiping, their tears.
Oh, an emotional moment.
Emotional moment. The key moments like the first kiss, the first look, any speeches, things like that, just key moments. And I'm flagging each one that I feel like is definitely going to make it into the final gallery that I deliver.
Smart. Yeah, pretty similar. Yeah, you're just making those selections. For me, after that, I have all of my footage selected of those like key moments, and I kind of use those as B-roll. What I like to do with my films, not all filmmakers do this, but for my wedding films, I really like to tell the story of the day, and I find that in the audio of the day. I like to go through, I make my selections of the video, and then I'm like, okay, what moments do I have audio of? We have like first look, I capture audio. If there's any like letter reading that they wanted audio captured, I'll have that. Speeches, obviously, ceremony, obviously. And I'll go through those moments that have audio and make selections of that. So I'm like, let's lay out what does the story of the film look like? So I'll literally lay out just a bare bones video of just the audio moments I want, like no music added yet, no like B-roll of these cool moments happening in the background, and just build like the story I want to tell, from the best man, maid of honor speeches, your first look, just kind of tie in what I want to use. And then that's like the basis of a wedding film, at least when I'm editing it.
Yeah.
So.
And question for you.
Yeah.
How long would you say that process usually takes you?
Yeah, that can take a few hours for sure. Just to lay that out. It's really like, sorry guys, also, I'm going to keep that in. If you hear banging in the background, people are moving stuff in the next room, but it's okay. That process for me can actually range. It's like depending on the wedding film itself. Some weddings have more audio moments than others. Yeah. Some couples totally makes sense. They don't want like their personal vows in their wedding film. Some really do, or some have a letter reading, some don't. So it's like there's some weddings with more or less of that, but it ranges from probably like between 2 to 6 hours to just like lay that out and make sure I get like the flow correct and like make those selections.
And that's not even the editing process quite yet. That's more really the culling, selecting process. I feel like it's important to talk about that because a lot of people, when they hire a photographer or a videographer for their wedding day, you know, I think it's understandable to think about the amount of hours of coverage that you're receiving on the day of your wedding. Like, oh, I have a videographer for 8 hours or for 10 hours, and that's what I'm paying for.
There's a lot of hours on the back end that goes into the pricing because sure, I'll be at a wedding for like between 8 and 10 hours depending on the packages, but then, there's another like 10 to 20 hours of editing on the back end that the couple doesn't even see. That's something that's a great point. I even think about like, couples might not know about that.
Might not quite realize. So after the culling and selecting process, that's then when we move into the editing. For photography, this is where the true artistry begins. You know, I adjust lighting, colors, add any retouching that needs to happen to some of the photos, like smoothing skin or editing hair flyaways. Just making sure that each image that gets delivered in the final gallery looks perfect.
Making those master edits is so important, especially with those I obviously do video, but I do have a photo background. So making sure those like flyaways are not like completely ruining like your main photo in the gallery or something like that is so important because it can really make a photo that has like some blemishes, like the key photo of a gallery. So it's so important to go through that.
Sometimes I'm even editing out someone who's, you know, got their camera out, iPhone camera out in the middle of the aisle or something, you know?
Such a like hot topic in the wedding industry right now is like people say like, oh, we're having a phones only service. And then it's like, you know, the aunt or uncle still has their
they
phone,
can't
or
help it. They're like,
the grandparent still wants
photos.
their phone photo. Which, I mean, I don't doubt it. I mean, a lot of people like to have their personal copies, but like, come on, guys. People are paying us to make sure they have those professional photos. So
no pressure. When they say it's a unplugged
Sammi
ceremony.
Can edit it out. Sammi can edit it out.
Yes, I can edit it out. Actually,
is work.
I wasn't planning on talking about this, but it just reminded me. I saw a funny viral TikTok video recently of a photographer who, with the bride's permission, edited out like a aunt or an uncle or something. They were holding a camera in the middle of the aisle. And every image where they were visible, they turned that person's camera into like a chicken.
Are you serious? Just holding a live chicken?
Oh
my gosh,
I
love AI.
Photoshop AI to replace the phone with a chicken.
That's so funny.
And it was so funny and went viral, obviously, for good reason. I don't think she actually delivered the photos like that. I think it was like a...
But she did send it to the bride,
Yeah,
maybe?
and she thought it was hilarious. So, it was
funny.
Just a fun little thing. But I would never actually deliver the final gallery
yeah, no,
like
but
that.
that's hilarious,
I'd rather just Photoshop the person out completely. But
Sure. It's so funny to think about that, though, that photographer is hilarious.
Yeah, so funny for that. So for me, editing is obviously a huge part of the process. It is for you too. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
I have started using some tools to help streamline the process a little bit, which I want to talk about just briefly here. But
let's hear about them.
There are some tools out there like AI to help streamline the process of culling. And I feel like the photographers that I've talked to, everybody's kind of on the fence about it. They're like, is it taboo to use AI to help that post-production process along a little bit?
Is this taking away from my art?
Is it taking away from the artistry? Is it taking away from,
Personally, I think no. If you're just culling, if you're just using it to cull, make the best selections of thousands of photos.
Yeah.
Help me get these 6,000 photos down to a few hundred.
That's the thing.
Please.
So, yeah, exactly. So, I've been using a tool called Aftershoot, which I have really been enjoying. Essentially what it does is it takes my entire gallery of images that I took, all 7,000 plus that I might get in a 10-hour wedding day, and then it helps me sort through all of them, and it finds all the photos where everybody's eyes are open, their smiles are genuine, and it helps me actually sort them by ranking system. So, any photos where they're blurry or out of focus, it puts them into a separate folder for me to look through, because sometimes, I intentionally blur out certain things just to be a little more artsy. But when it comes to editing, like group photos and where you have 30 people in the photo. Normally I would look through each single one, zoom in on everybody's face, make sure everybody's eyes are open, see if it's in focus, make sure everyone's smiling. And that can take so much time. And so what Aftershoot has allowed me to do is to actually simplify that process a lot faster. And I'm able to actually get started on the editing a lot quicker, which my couples have absolutely loved, because it has reduced my post-production time quite a bit. Because, if you are a photographer or a videographer and you're listening, you know what I'm talking about, where you're going through all 7,000 photos click by click and you're flagging each one. This just helps me do that so much faster. But it definitely does not take away from my manual actual labor. I am actually, looking at each photo still, and I'm making sure that it didn't miss any moments that I felt were important.
Yeah. And plus you were at the wedding and you do this right afterwards. Again, this is one of the first steps of editing. So it's it's fresh in your mind. Oh wait, this AI might have left out this moment with the mom or something like that. Oh, I remember that moment. Let's go get that photo.
Yeah, totally. But I will say, when it comes to just selecting photos, it does a really great job, because when I take photos, let's say of each bridesmaid with the bride, it actually even makes sure that I don't miss any bridesmaids.
Nice.
It's learned that
facial recognition.
By facial recognition, I suppose, and through their technology, it actually has learned, and it can pick up on the fact that I did this same photo, the same solo shot with each girl at the same spot.
Yeah.
And so it makes sure that it doesn't miss any of the bridesmaids.
You get one of each one.
Yeah, which is amazing.
So smart.
Because that's one thing I've worried about. Did I miss anyone?
Yeah.
But no, it never misses. Never.
Love
that. It's amazing. Yeah. Actually,
when did they come out with the video version?
Yeah, right? I know.
That's sometimes I worry. I always make sure I include all the key members, but there's sometimes I'm like, did I get everybody that needs to be in this film?
Right.
That's
Totally.
So
yeah. I think AI is a great tool for just speeding up some of the initial steps without compromising on any quality or anything like that. But for any photographers interested, we will include a free trial link in the show notes if you want to try it out. For me, it has really been a game changer for workflow, and I think it will be for you too. So I hope you guys try it out.
Check the description.
Yeah. And then once editing is complete, is there anything you wanted to add to the editing process?
I'll just quickly go over it. I know we're kind of coming up on time too. One thing that I obviously do after I lay out all my audio cues is just making sure I add in all those selects. So I kind of do a combination then. I pull those selects, I add the music. Either I like to ask my couples, like, what kind of music are you into? Do you like more like, some people love like the strings and violins of like very traditional, very classical wedding films. Some people want more like hip hop and upbeat kind of stuff. And they're just more of like maybe a non-traditional couple. And so just getting like the couple's personality into the film is really important to me. And yeah, so that's kind of the final process, is just putting it all together, which can obviously take a few weeks. And typically my delivery, I don't know if we're talking about delivery time.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I feel like a good delivery time for a wedding filmmaker is between, I've heard in the industry from a lot of different people, and I prefer this as well, between 8 to 16 weeks. It's a big window, but it just gives your editor a lot of time to fully craft the film, add all those nice details like good sound effects, making sure we have all of that audio and key moments for my films. And my films range, from 5 to 10 minutes. So it's it really just depends on the package that I get. Some packages, if it's a shorter film, obviously that takes less time. But typically for my average film, that's about the time it takes to do all that stuff. And on top of it, I have multiple deliverables. So sometimes I have couples that book, they want like a teaser within a week of the wedding. So it's like that. Also, like my couples receive things before that 8 week mark.
Totally. Like some sneak peek.
They get some sneak peek stuff. Before getting that full film. So
For for photos, it typically takes about 6 to 12 weeks to get everything edited and ready. And again, thanks to tools like Aftershoot, it honestly has gotten quite faster for me. This summer I shot a wedding and I was able to deliver the entire gallery within a week.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, they were so
I was
static.
just about to say, because I was like, with AI and this new technology, I know over the years, this delivery time is going to get shorter and shorter because it's just going to be able to be so streamlined. But as well, hopefully without, impacting any quality. I know I would never want to impact my quality for just a quick turnaround time. I always want to make sure that my films last generations.
Absolutely.
I want my couple's grandchildren being able to watch an amazing film.
Yeah,
so.
Definitely. Yeah, and also some photographers offer a sneak peek within a week or two. So, it just depends on the deliverables, like you said. But one other thing to mention is how we actually deliver the photos. So for me, I'm usually uploading them into a online gallery and I'm delivering them via email to my client. What about you? How do you deliver video footage?
Yeah, totally. So I'm actually doing this really fun thing. I'll obviously deliver via the web, make sure that they have those digital files for their full film, for that teaser that's easily postable on Instagram or TikTok or wherever the couples want to share it. But something I'm doing really cool is I love physical media. My dad is a record store owner, so I've always grown up
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Yeah.
No,
my dad's
fun.
a record store owner, and so I really love being able to physically hold media. I'm like, how can I do that for my film? So I actually just started sending my couples a physical booklet they can keep in their house to open and watch their film.
What?
I know.
That's
I
so
love it.
Cool.
And so that's something that I've been doing, and I love doing that.
Wow.
And that's my personal favorite way to deliver a film is being able to imagine you have a house party and you're just hey guys, let's watch my wedding film. Here's a book. Let's gather around and watch this, instead of let's share it online. They're sure, you're gonna do that anyway, but this is a fun moment if you're having a dinner party or something.
Wow.
It's really fun to share. So.
Oh my gosh, I want to check that out. That sounds so cool. Yeah, I mean, I do something similar, but it's not quite the same. I mean, I love creating albums for my couples as well, those custom flat lay albums, that you can gift to your parents, grandparents, or just have it on your coffee table in your living room. And so that's also part of the post-production process is, once the photos are edited, then we go and we can create custom albums or put the photos onto a custom USB drive with their name and the date and
give
send
them
that
that
off
physical
to them.
thing to hold on to as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So great.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like holding those memories in a physical
literally holding
tangible
them.
album. There's something very special about that. Especially we live in such a digital world. Everything is digital now.
Yeah.
Even our iPhone photos. People aren't printing photos as much, but
No.
I feel like that's a lost art. So I always love when couples are like, they want those fine art prints and albums.
That would let's bring back the thing of like, I mean, I looked through my grandparents' wedding photo album. It's like, it's a book. It's like, it's really cool. So I love that you do like deliver some physical stuff too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, if you are a fellow photographer or videographer interested in improving your workflow, we hope that this podcast has been helpful for you.
Yeah.
And don't forget to check out Aftershoot. Like I said, we'll include a link to the free trial in our show notes. Guys.
Yeah, check out the show notes.
Yeah, and thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope this helped you understand what happens to your wedding photos and videos after you get married.
After the big day.
After the big day, and what really goes into delivering those final, beautiful, polished products.
Amazing. Well, thanks for listening, guys, to episode, 3 now? So we're on a roll, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yep. And if you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to the Vendor Voices podcast and tuning in next week.
And also, where can they find us? I totally just outroed and didn't even think about that. But Sammi,
let's talk about it.
Yeah, Sammi, where can they find you?
Oh, well, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at Captured by Sammi. And what about you?
Yeah, check me out on Instagram at Korrigan.mp4, MP4 as in the video file. And check us out on Instagram at Vendor Voices.
Yes, that's right. We have an Instagram.
Instagram is out now.
Yeah.
So check out fun clips from the episodes and share comments about the episodes with us there.
Until next time, happy planning, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you guys.